Well, folks, welcome back to Marvel Heroes 2015 edition. This is Euro Digester. We've been spending some time going through and leveling all of our heroes up to level 60 and posting those videos. Hopefully, you've been able to watch those online and check those out. Now that we actually have all of our heroes up to level 60, now comes the process of trying to get them the best equipment, the best stats, the best items, the best everything, so that they can really min-max them to the best of our abilities, so we can really do the late game content, which of course are the green raids. And then of course when you really have all the really rare items and unique artifacts and blessings and legendary items, and really have your character set up for to do lots of damage and be able to survive, you can go on the red raids and do that content as well. So we got quite a few characters here that we are actually in the process of min-maxing, and so I thought I would start a new video series, and we're going to talk in this video series and show you the heroes, talk about their items, talk about how they play, and show you what powers they have. And then of course we'll use our heroes and do some actual videos of them in the process of doing some raids and some cosmic runs and stuff like that. So um, as usual, we're going to be doing first and foremost, before anything else, we're going to do Storm, because she's our number one hero. She's the first hero we ever had, first hero we ever got to level 60, first hero we ever got on a raid, and so she has got a little special part of my heart, and I really like playing her. So let's go ahead and take a look at her. So right now, when you get up to level 60, you can do all the normal content just fine. You don't need to have any special equipment, any special gear, or anything like that. But if you really want to get into doing some cosmic terminals and you want to do raiding, you really need to min-max your character. And so we've been in the process of doing that. And some of the things that are kind of required to go on these raids are, obviously you need a legendary item. And you can see we've got a legendary, it's all ranked up, all level 5 there. And of course, those items are just going to give you better stats that you can use to give you better damage and be able to survive a little bit longer, do, basically do the content and be able to fulfill your mission and complete your mission. So once you get to level 60, you really are at that point at the mercy of trying to get some rather unique items. You're trying to find the best of the best, obviously, and you're trying to get these items and increase them, try to get the most out of them. You can see here, if we look at our slot 4 item, you can see that a normal level 60 item down at the bottom there shows you the level required is 60, and the item grade is 63. And once you get up to level 60, you can then further upgrade it up to level 66 item grade. You need to get a special crafting recipe for your crafter, and then you can upgrade these items. And you can see we have level 66 across the board except for slot number 3. We haven't got that recipe yet because it takes a lot of resources to be able to do that. We just haven't got the resources quite yet to do this. In fact, you can upgrade your level 66 items to item grade level 69, and of course that even takes you further, costing more resources and really, takes a lot of extra stuff. So you obviously can't do this with all the heroes out there, all 42 heroes, but maybe you can do it with a handful or just one or two. I'm going to do it with about, I would say 8 to 12 heroes, or somewhere around there anyways. We're going to be giving them the best of the best because we've got quite a few items. So as far as our items go, you can see we're using all Storm's regular items. We don't have anything in particular that we're using that is any hero. But there are some any hero items out there that are rare that might help her out.
Lives are lost.
So you want to definitely look into that. Of course, you want to get a legendary item. Then, of course, for your artifacts, you want to try and find a couple of the very special rare items. We actually have two of them on uh, Storm here. Gem of the Cursed is a rare item, and of course, the Blessed Arnhem Zul ESP box. You notice that these two over here on the left-hand side are kind of in orange, and that's because they're blessed. And of course, that takes some of your Odin resources, and you're going to have to use them to upgrade and get blessings on all your items. And of course, these are giving you better stats and better statistics as well. So you can see we have the Blessing of Hela on our Blessed Arnon Zul ESP box. So we don't have these two items aren't blessed yet. Of course, each blessing costs 100 of our Odin marks, and your legendary item costs another 300. So you can see just to get one hero set up, it's going to cost you 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 in Odin marks, and that's going to take you quite a while. So that's why I'm saying you can't do with every hero out there. You got to pick and choose a few of your favorite heroes, and then maybe as you play the game further along, you can add another hero or two to the mix and try to really min-max them. You can see here we have a nice insignia of Spider-Woman there. We're definitely using it for the Spirit Restore because we don't have any basic powers with Storm. I should change that. We do have basic powers, but we don't use our basic power that much. Well, we're going to look at powers here in a minute. The other thing you want to do is definitely increase your critical damage rating in your grades 1 through 4. You can see I don't have grade 3 upgraded yet. I should probably do that sometime soon. And you want to have a decent core as well. In this case, I've had a couple cores that I've thought about switching out, but that 93 spirit is so very good. It's just so hard to get rid of that. Plus it gives me some physical defense as well, which Storm really needs. She is a really good character. She's very powerful in her own right, but she's even more powerful with other heroes around because of a lot of her powers actually will give bonuses to other heroes. So if we look at her powers, the main powers that we are using with her is the Crashing Hail and the Lightning Storm, and of course our Typhoon are kind of our three basic damaging powers. And then our basic attack is our Lightning Bolt. And you notice that the one thing that all of these powers have in common is they have damage over time. So Storm, I'm sure you could set her up many different ways, but I have set her up with damage over time. She litters the battlefield with all of her damaging auras and damaging powers, and the enemies, they might not take 2, 3, 5 million right off the bat, but they're going to be just every second they're going to be taking lots and lots of damage. So that's what's really good about Storm. Not only that, but she's got a couple really good utility powers here. She actually has different Tempest powers is what they're called. And you can activate these, one of these at a time, and each one gives you kind of a different bonus. And you notice that one of them there, when you activate the Freezing Tempest, will actually freeze enemies. And even though it says irresistible in there, that's kind of a misnomer, because the raid bosses are resistant to this. You cannot freeze raid bosses. So if you are going on raids, you don't want to use the Freezing Tempest. You want to choose one of the other Tempests. But everybody else, including Doom and Kursk in the Cosmic Terminals, they will be frozen. So again, the really good power for Storm to use. As I mentioned, she works really well by herself, but she even works better when she's got allies around, because you can see some of her powers, like this one here, will make herself and all of her allies invisible. Some of the things she does, such as what I just mentioned about freezing the enemies, will help them out as well, because they can activate certain powers when the enemy's frozen in place, so you don't have to worry about missing out on the powers. She has some really good passive powers as well. We have Spirited here, which is giving us some spirits, which we definitely need because we spam out a lot of big powers and basically cover the whole battlefield with a lot of damaging powers, so it does take us quite a bit of spirit. We also have, where's the other one? Here it is, Healing Winds, which is of course giving us some little bit of regeneration, some movement speed, and anytime we activate a wind power, you and your allies gain Constitution, restoring 210 health per second. And of course that lasts for 10 seconds, so obviously activating a wind power is really good for us. And then of course, last we have Eye of the Storm, which is another passive, gives us a decent critical hit rating and some damage rating, but when we use a lightning power we gain dexterity, increasing a dodge rating and granting a 10% chance to deflect projectiles. It's not the best power in the world, it could be slightly better, but we definitely need that because we're all about lightning. See, our basic power isn't even a lightning storm. So we're using damage over time powers, so that's why I'm actually using this lightning bolt. A lot of the other builds out there will use things such as the ball lightning or the electrocute. Problem with these are like one-shot deals. They are not a damage over time. And the reason I want to use the damage over time is because we have this West Arnon Zol ESP box, which of course we're going to gain 3.5 spirit when we hit with the damage over time power. So we're going to spam these powers out, and we're going to litter the battlefield with a whole bunch of damage over time powers. And we're going to not be using as much spirit because of this item right there. So it's this kind of a combination of which items you're going to use is going to help buff up your powers, and then also which powers you're going to use, which kind of work well with the items you have. So it's kind of a combination, and like I said, you really want to min-max, so some of these items you might want to take in or out. As far as statistics go, you can see we've got pretty decent statistics right now, nothing too shocking or over the top. If we look at our Omega system, we'll see what we got some points in here. We got a little range damage bonus going on there, just a little bit. We have some critical hit, brutal strike and brutal damage, some health regen going on there. We've got a couple points in fighting. Fighting is good because it helps any power damage. Let's see what else we've got for this. We've got Spin Tech maxed out, which is damage against bosses. What else do we have? We have Exogenesis, which of course is going to play right into trying to help us with one of Storm's biggest weaknesses. Her biggest weakness is she doesn't have much defense at all. Her survivability is a little limited. So anytime we can get health back by hitting an enemy, that's obviously a good thing. Plus, of course, since she's all about energy, obviously getting extra energy damage is a good thing. And, throwing a little energy defense as well. That's not too bad. We got some more brutal strike rating. And some spirit, which is never a bad thing. I always max this out in every single hero. Too many times you want to use a power, but you're running out of spirit, and you wish, I wish I had some more spirit. So having spirit is always a good thing. And of course, we're back to the beginning. As far as hero synergies go, we are using Cyclops, Hulk, Human Torch, Invisible Woman, Iron Man, Jean Grey, Miss Marvel, Punisher, Silver Surfer, and Storm. And obviously here are the bonuses over here. We want to definitely look at energy damage. You can see we're getting a 15% energy damage. We need some health, so that's why we're at an extra 6% of health there. A little bit of extra spirit never hurt anything. And of course, if you wanted to switch these around yourself, you could try that out. What I would recommend is, you try out a few things, make some adjustments, and try it out again, and see what you end up liking and not liking. As far as her ultimate power is Goddess of Weather, and the important part of that is the buff down at the bottom where it empowers not only you, but you and your allies, increasing base damage by 40%. So again, Even though she's really, really good by
Does
herself,
the
I can
hurricane
go
wait
and
to
do
act?
cosmic terminals without any problems as Storm, and it just becomes that much better when I have someone else because I can give them bonuses as well as myself. So kind of a good support character, but she is still a beast. So the pros and cons. Let's talk about the pros and cons of Storm. Well, I would say the pros are A, she's very easy to play. She's got a couple really good powers, and you just need to activate these powers. You don't have to do any kind of fancy, you have to activate this power, then that power, and, go through cycles or anything like that. You can activate these powers anytime you want. And the other thing is, you don't have to spam them out very much. Like some of the other heroes, you have to constantly be clicking on the keyboard. You can see Crashing Hail here has an area duration of 13.8 seconds. So I can literally activate this a couple times in different spots on the around me, and any enemy that enters into that area is going to be taking damage for 13.8 seconds. So I don't need to hit this again for another 10, 12 seconds before I start worrying about having to activate it again. So you don't need to spam the powers out just constantly over and over again. You can see Lightning Storm here. This one is a little bit different than Crashing Hail. Crashing Hail only does damage over time. Now this one here, Lightning Storm, you can see it actually does an attack, and then it also does damage over time. So this one you might want to activate quite often because it does the instant damage, but then of course it does the damage over time as well. The other thing is it also stuns him, makes him vulnerable. It does all sorts of great things. So definitely want to be able to activate this. Of course, our other kind of power we use here is the Freezing Tempest, and that has a nice 9-second cooldown. So kind of she's easy to play just because you don't need to be spamming power after spamming power after spamming power. You can kind of play at your own pace. You don't need to constantly be just ramming the keyboard doing attacks and stuff. You put out a couple area effects, do your basic attack a couple times, then put them out a couple, hit them a couple times. Spam out your basic attack a couple times, and then hit your signature power, and then go back to your big boy powers, and then do your basic attack a couple times. So it's pretty easy rotation. There isn't really, anything like that. Other advantages for Storm, or pros, I should say, she flies. It's very important that even if you're going on raids and stuff, the ability to fly, you can fly over the lava that you got to run through to get to some of the bosses in the beginning, or when you're fighting the sisters. There's lava all over the place. You can actually fly over that stuff. So flying, it doesn't sound like that big a deal, but it is kind of can definitely be a lifesaver, especially if you're not even going to be doing raids, but you're in Midtown Patrol, or you're in Industrial City, or you're in some of the cosmic areas. Some of them have areas where you got to walk upstairs to move, get up to the next level or whatever. You can just fly up there. You don't need to worry about trying to get around boxes and crates on the ground or enemies or anything. You just fly up in the air. So flying is definitely a plus for heroes if they have the ability to fly. Um, Other pros for Storm is she is a very good support character. Helps lots of her powers not only activate for herself but activate for other heroes. And of course, another good pro for Storm is she is damage over time, big area of effects, literally huge area of effects that she can cover lots and lots of areas. So you don't really have to worry about missing any of your attacks, or not having your attacks activate on a boss because he's moving around or whatever. You can, you got big area of attacks that you need to worry about. You can activate and do damage on them, and you don't have to really fine-tune and target them out as hard or as easy, or it's not as hard to hit them with your area powers as is with some of the other characters who have to specifically hit the target. So you don't have to worry about that. Item-wise, specifically for Storm, I would call them good items, not great. There's probably some other more unique, rare items out there that might help. But as you can see, a lot of um, her specific unique items are going to be giving you some ranks and really good ranks in a lot of your powers. You can see 6 ranks in our Wind Riders, and 4 ranks in Stormbreakers, and 4 ranks in Wind Rider, and here's one that's got 6 ranks in Stormcrafter, and here's another one with 5 ranks in Stormbreaker. So lots of ranks in your powers. I know that in the last patch, or maybe it was the patch before this last week, that they upgraded Storm's survivability on her items slightly. So I don't know, there might even be better items out there now that I need to pick up. I know they adjusted some of the stats on her specific unique items to give her a little bit more survivability. She does have quite a bit of spirit because, you know, she does have lots of energy, and so, you know, that's kind of a plus for her as well. And like I mentioned, she's easy to play, she's pretty fun to play, and she's got a lot of really the voice acting, the graphic effects, everything that you activate's got a really nice feel to it. Nothing's chunky, doesn't look right or anything like that. So really good that way. Okay, let's talk about Storm's cons here. Uh, 2 things that I can think of right off the top of my head. Number 1 is obviously her defenses. Her defenses are really, really low, so she can't take much damage. You can see, even though I've got 20,000 hit points, which I don't even know how I have 20,000 hit points to tell you the truth. We must have something going on that's giving us some pretty good help there. I don't know if the items might have already been, you know, here's a little bit of health in this item, there's some health in that item, here's some health regen, there's some health in that item. I didn't see any in that one, and I don't see any in that one. So anyways, her defenses are really, really low. I've been working on trying to get higher defenses, but no matter what you do, she's not going to be a stand in the front lines and fight kind of girl. She's a sit in the back and blast them from afar. If you get surrounded by enemies or you get a boss that teleports over to you, you can take some serious damage and go down. So survivability still is an issue. She just doesn't have the defenses that really keep her up. Now she can, you know, with her 20,000 hit points, we can take a shot or two. But we can't take a lot of damage. If you run into an area and there's a whole bunch of ranged guys shooting at you, you can see your health bar just flash down really fast. Just a couple hits. So she doesn't have a lot of defenses. And secondly, she has got no power that is really like a nuke, a big blast item. You're not going to see a 3, 4, 5 million brutal strike come flashing on the screen with her powers. She is more along the lines of, okay, I'm going to do 500,000 every second that you're alive, that I'm standing here. So my job is to stay alive, because eventually you're going to die. There's no way around it. But she doesn't have the, oh my god, I'm under attack, I need to get rid of these guys, I'm going to zap them and just kill them all instantly powers. There's no really big nuke, big attack damage one. All of hers is a little bit here over time, a little bit here over time. And when you get all those added up, it's quite a bit of damage over time. I mean, we're talking probably, I think I calculated the other day, between, if I got her Typhoon, a Crashing Hail, a Lightning Storm, a couple of Lightning Bolts in there, we're talking at least 300 to 400,000 damage a second that they're in
By
the
the Bright
areas
Lady,
that are
I
under
long for
effect.
battle.
And then that's assuming that there's no critical hits or brutal strikes in there either. So, I mean, we can be doing 6, 8, a million damage every second, depending on how many critical strikes and brutal strikes we get. We do a lot of damage. It's just a matter of it takes us a few seconds for it to happen. And that means that we have to stay alive, we have to stay out of their range, we have to stay away from them so that we can let our area effects just nickel and dime them to death. And of course, as a pro, which I forgot to mention when we were doing the pros, a lot of her powers actually help her stay alive because a lot of them will slow enemies. You can see here our Typhoon will slow enemies. So if they're trying to get over to me, by the time they get through my Typhoon, I'm halfway, I'm not even where they want me to be anymore. I will literally put my Typhoon down in front of me, and they can try to run over to me to stab me in the face, but they can't do it. It'll just take them so long to get through there. Even our Crushing Hail will move and cause them to lose attack and move speed as well. And our Lightning Storm, which we haven't even talked about, has a nice stun. So I zap them, they stunned. When they're finally done being unstunned, they're trying to move, but they can't move. And they're trying to fire or they're trying to attack me, but they can only do 50% because, they're being slowed with their attack speed. So with my powers out there, they're not going to be able to just run over and smash me in the face and kill me instantly. My powers are set up to, okay, if you want to come get me, here I am, but you're going to have to take all this damage to try and get over to me. And then, oh, by the way, when you get over to me, I'm just going to freeze you for a good 3.5 seconds. And even though it says 2.8 seconds, I actually have bonuses, so it's actually going to be about 3.5 seconds. And then while you're frozen for those 3.5 seconds, you're taking a lot more damage, and I'm moving to another spot so you can't get me. So nah. So that's basically the cat and mouse game. Is the mouse is sitting there going, "Here I am, come get me," and while you're coming to get me, you're going to be taking a shit ton of damage, and I mean a shit ton of damage. And oh, by the time you get over to get me, I'm gone and move into another area. And we're going to see how all this plays out in a couple videos that we're going to be doing showing Storm in her as we make some cosmic runs with her to come. So yeah, downside is she just doesn't have any powers to go zap. Oh wow, 5 million or 4 million damage right off the bat. And of course, the other kind of downside with her is her defenses are pretty low. Again, I got up to 20,000 health, which is decent amount. If you're going to be running green raids, you want to have at least probably, I would say minimum of 18,000, but you should try to be in the 22 to 26,000 range. So I mean, I'm pretty happy actually with having 20,000 for her. I hardly ever take damage from enemies because of the way I've got things set up. And when I do take damage, I can take one hit, and then I get the hell out of there. And the times that Storm runs into problems is when you're surrounded, lots of enemies, you have nowhere to go, and they zap you. And then eventually you're trying to move into, get away from them into one spot, and you just run into more of them, and then you're dead. The other danger for us, obviously, is bosses that teleport. Obviously, bad news for us because they don't need to spend a lot of time going through all of our area of effects. They can just teleport right on top of our face. So those bosses, obviously, we want to watch out for. But you got to just play things by ear. I don't have any problems. Well, when I take a Storm on green raids, I've not done any red raids yet. But as far as the green raids, Storm she does fine, and I don't have any issue with her. She does a lot of damage, and her survivability is just fine. I don't have any issues with that. So it's just You have to be careful of the situations. You have to be aware of what's going on. If you got a teleporting boss, then you want to be on the move constantly, and you want to make sure that you have your irresistible freeze ready to go if you're getting jumped in the face. Of course, this won't work on raids, so that's a little bit different. But these bosses usually just don't jump on your face from nowhere either. Um, they usually telegraph their attacks and stuff like that. So, with all that said, what do we think about Storm and how she plays and everything? My overview. A lot of pros, just a few cons. I would say she is probably top 5 heroes, if not higher. Maybe even top 3 heroes. For me personally, favorite. I love how she plays. Like I said, her graphic effects are really nice on her powers. She's smooth to play. She has the ability to fly. She's got a lot of nice passive powers. She doesn't have 20 powers that I need to put on my action bar. She just has, 4 or 5 good powers and a couple buffs. I don't need to worry about having, you know, 2 action bars full of powers to activate her. So the powers that I need are right here, readily available to me, and I don't having to worry about getting extra powers, uh, playing with extra action bars or anything like that. Um, she is, like I said, very smooth animations. The ability to get around, and even her lunge forward is a nice little effect. And of course, all of her powers mesh well together. Uh, just the way they kind of interact with one another, you can see here that when we do a typhoon, then we get bonus damage to our lightning attacks. When we activate our wind powers, we get extra constitution attacks. So there's some good synergy between her powers. And then her passive powers just work in the background. We do have to activate her Tempest power. And the good thing about the Tempest power is that it actually... let's go ahead and activate this. Oh, I can't do it because I'm in a location. But basically, it just has an aura around here. And this is very, very helpful for... even if you're doing things in like Midtown Patrol, like yesterday's Midtown Patrol, to complete the event, you needed to find the 15 or 16 hidden aim turrets in there. So I was playing with another character, I couldn't find them or whatever, so I switched to Storm. I activated this Tempest power that has this huge radius around her, and I was just flying around the map, and anything within that radius takes damage, so it was blowing up all the little the newspaper stands and all the trash cans and everything, and I would find all of the hidden aim bots and kill them really quickly, and I would go from like 3 to 15 in like 2 minutes using Storm, and it was taking me 25 minutes as other characters. So having that aura around her is just awesome. Everything within that aura taking damage all the time. So I can literally just fly around the map as Storm, and you can just see all the damage happening underneath me because the enemies are obviously taking damage. So that's kind of another really cool thing about Storm. Storm has got a lot of really just all the things that you're really looking for a hero. She's kind of got them all built into her. She's got good area powers. She's got some good, even though they're damage over time, they are doing some serious damage. She's got the ability to fly. She's got just everything you would want. Area powers are obviously very important. The fact that she can freeze enemies is huge. There's so many times the Juggernaut comes running and crashes over people. The best thing is when he's getting ready to charge, you just freeze him and he just stands there for 3 seconds, and you see all the other heroes go running and scattering around trying to get out of his way, and you're standing there and you just freeze them, and boom, they're all like, oh yeah, and they come running back and they're like, wow, Storm, you saved me, thanks, good job, and so you just feel really good playing as Storm. So So that's kind of my take on Storm. I'm going to give her, I'm going to rate her a 9.2 out of 10. 9.2 out of 10. And we'll see once we go through all the other heroes exactly what rank she ends up. But I'm going to give her a 9.2. Just everything about
This
her
is what
is
the
really
calm
good.
before the storm.
And, just the deficits you can work around, not having a lot of defenses, not having that awesome one shot that does lots of damage. You can work around this just the way you play. And so we're going to do a couple episodes with her going on some cosmic runs, and you're going to get to see her in action. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time here in Marvel Heroes as we look at all of our level 60 heroes and kind of analyze what they do, how they do it, and kind of rate them and talk about the pros and cons. And we'll see you guys next time. So thanks for watching.